Hey, that's pretty good.
Dragon Age the Veilguard is a massive new world full of thoughtful stories, epic battles, and beautiful visuals to accompany them. This round of companions is among the most interesting, thoughtful, and downright charismatic, and adventuring with them made for an unforgettable journey.
Let's not oversell it.
It's goofy, and earnest, and consciously inclusive in a way that makes me, a queer person, scared to talk about it on the internet, even after all these years. It's bold, and comfortable in itself, and even in its weaker moments, it does feel different to the past games, but for me, it's a good kind of different.
You get that. Not everyone does.
While the Veilguard takes me back to the familiar world of Dragon Age, it also dares to experiment. Because that works out well, apart from some cringy writing, here is a satisfied fan. The heart of Dragon Age still beats, and with it mine too.
It is clear that whatever you did to unleash the Blight has corrupted your already weak mind.
Dragon Age, the Veilguard refreshes and reinvigorates this storied series with enjoyable action combat, a fantastic cast of companions, and moving character writing.
That's why we recruited her.
Actually, Tosh uses them for themselves now.
They asked us to let folks know, so now you do.
The game may stumble occasionally in its technical aspects, but its core, compelling storytelling, rich character relationships, and engaging combat makes it an easy recommendation for not just BioWare fans, but any RPG fan.
Well, can't tell if that's a trap or not.
A completely renewed Dragon Age that struggles with some ifs and buts, but above all plays on a very high narrative level.
Okay, here we go. Deep breaths.
The writing can be overwrought, written by committee, and occasionally forced, but it's also a major step forward for a team that needs the win. Dragon Age, the Veilguard brings us compelling characters, excellent combat, and a world worth saving.
Ugh, sorry. It's just this thing I do sometimes.
Acting so people will like you?
That sounds terrible when you say it like that.
When the long-awaited game comes out cliched, we have no words to describe our disappointment. Unfortunately, Veilguard fell far short of our expectations.
Well said.
Dragon Age, the Veilguard excels on a number of counts. Let's see if they're the ones you've been waiting for.
I'm a crappy Canary. I'm not really Ravani. I'm no good as a daughter. I can't even be a woman right.
The Veilguard has some fun combat and exploration mechanics, but in no way do they redeem a sterilized, safe, inoffensive, fully Netflix and badly written version of a dark fantasy world that has little to do with the series' past.
It's, not great.
There is lots to do in this huge and beautiful fantasy world, but inconsistent writing and muted combat dull as blade.
Tried it, didn't much care for it.
This isn't the end of Dragon Age that I was expecting. In this respect, the game must be rated very low. However, as an action RPG with flair and a beautiful fairy tale world, it turns out to be decent, and sometimes even more than that.
Is that so?
Dragon Age, the Veilguard is a colorful but absolutely passable game that lacks any depth. It will not only disappoint the fans of the previous parts, but also will not give joy to the new ones.
This is ominous.
BioWare's worst dialogue, trivial puzzles, annoying level design, and tedious combat. My diagnosis: complete apathy.
It's that bad?
The worst game in the Dragon Age series, the game instead of evolving it regressed. In DA Inquisition, each area of the map was huge. You had thousands of choices. In Veilguard, tiny map, without side quest.
My!
This is not an RPG game, this is not a BioWare game, this is not a Dragon Age game, this is complete garbage.
Yeah, I know. I don't like it either.
This game is so bad it's the worst writing in the history of gaming. Go woke, go broke.
I'm so sorry.
I didn't find nothing interesting in that game. It's not dark universe, not interesting story.
I'm sorry, doesn't feel like enough.
This is an M-rated game, but the dialogue is written for preteens. Need I say more?
What can I say?
Real low point for series. 1. Felt like playing a Lego game. Target audience for 10-year-olds, I guess. 2. Shallow characters, cringe-inducing scenes. 3. Boring and repetitive, simple combat. 4. Same old messaging that is getting really old.
Don't tell me you're surprised.
This game is the embodiment of go woke go broke. I've never played a game that made me cringe like this. Wouldn't recommend.
Damn. Tell me what you really think.
I really wanted to like this game. I have no connection to the whole gender thing. I didn't even get to the character the whole blank was about. I gave up on the game before and I am now a bit pissed I have wasted my money. I thought the combat would be the hardest thing to adjust to. In the end, the combat turned out to be the biggest selling point, but even that could not mask how bad the writing in this game was. Honestly, it's atrocious, unbelievably boring, bland and empty. I want my money back. This is fraud.
It is a part of your soul reaching for a feeling and finding emptiness.
As a Dragon Age fan who has played this game for 79 hours and had 100% completion, pros, I think gameplay is really good. It gets me to play 79 hours. This game has very good visuals. The main story is not bad. Cons, this game is not a RPG at all. It's not a good Dragon Age game. Dialogues are too boring.
I believe I can work with that.
I fell asleep and prayed for the end of this abomination. I didn't like the level design, the destruction and disrespect for lore and infantilism. If I had to name at least one good thing about this game, it would be Manfred, because he didn't say anything.
Maybe not, never mind.
Not much to say about this one. Only that its dialogue is so bad, it counts as modern torture. Didn't take me long to get a refund and keep that money for independent developer who makes spiritual sequels to beloved but by their own or abandoned IPs.
That must have been frustrating.
The game is pretty cool. On the level of Dragon Age 2, but this whole non-binary indoctrination is disgusting. The character designs are also taken from a Disney cartoon. The conversation itself always follows a set script. I wanted to, for example, insult Tasha or other non-binary characters, but it was not possible. If the next Mass Effect game includes evidence of non-binary content again, I will absolutely not buy this game.
So, I'm non-binary.
Gender guard, everything can be forgiven, but not what kind of Morrigan they made.
Cruelty and arrogance personified.
Dragon Age, the Veilguard is a repugnant game. This isn't the family black sheep, it is the tragic heart attack that took a beloved family member away from you.
It was dressed in his clothing, but it had been altered with blood magic to have his face.
Game's just fine. It's shorter than the Inquisition, so I'm probably going to play a few more times. Love the characters, though some of the dialogue was a little clunky.
Thank you for thinking that.
Very good game. Bug-free, very stable, graphics are great. Combat is amazing. There is so much to do in this game.
Speak for yourself.
They've turned DA into a bootleg knockoff God of War. Really wish I could get my money back.
You really wish you'd said no.
Love this series, and this entry in particular. Combat feels great, story is amazing, all around a banger.
Such thinking is a trap you can ill afford.
It's not the Dragon Age. It's not even an RPG. It's a mockery. It's anti-RPG.
So you're saying I'm a disaster?
Don't waste your money on this. This game is not a RPG, any more than Fortnite is. Your choices do not matter in this game and you are treated like a child who has a 5-second memory span. If you want a good, immersive RPG, buy Baldur's Gate 3.
I really am getting too old for this shit.
Dumbed down, characters are horribly unlikable, graphics are ghastly. Everything in the game is just background noise to the gender propaganda shoved down players' throat.
Oh,
shit. They're still holding it, sorry.
Worst Dragon Age game ever. WTF happened to the character design? The game looked like a parody of Dragon Ages.
They know about us specifically.
Veilguard focuses on the use of pronouns, forced diversity, hair physics rather than a good story which made Dragon Age famous. Even the romance is lackluster.
Are you trying to have sex with me?
The game is a total disaster. A good franchise ruined by bad story writer. Game maker should rethink and reform.
Let's not get stuck in our regrets, alright?
Dash? More like trash. The game is not worth your time. Woke agenda, like always.
Makes sense that he's interested in our Tosh.
The worst pile of ideological identity politics junk that has ever infiltrated a computer game mythos.
That's an incredibly rare accomplishment.
Disgusting DEI game, small boob, ugly character, non-binary, weirdo, boring story.
You know you're being creepy, right?
No, 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 thank you. This game is absurdist and ridiculous. The content is sad. Avoid.
It's bad, Rook.
Junk, real junk. Trash, bottom, mud, stink, piece of goddamn worst thing this year.
It is evil, it is implacable, and above all, it is predictable.
I was fan of Dragon Age, but this new opus have nothing like before. We lost all the essence of Dragon Age, the gameplay is not fun, story is empty and the design are not anymore good for me. I think I must forget this license.
They turn her into something blighted and ugly and wrong. Something she was never supposed to be.
Hey, that's pretty good.
Careful, even tough it's listed as Steam Deck verified, it does not work. I have all settings on minimum but the game always crashes in the first cutscene. Unplayable.
Yeah, that's not gonna work. Sorry.
Beautiful graphics. Gameplay is a solid 10 out of 10. Story is massively, cruelly disappointing. As someone who's beaten all 3 previous games several times each, I'm devastated to say I can't enjoy this one.
Sorrow and anger waiting in abundance.
It's not Dragon Age as a game, it's decent. But the atmosphere of the previous games is gone. It's like playing Guardians of the Galaxy, which can be fun for some. But it's not Dragon Age. And that's what I personally wanted.
We were going to change Tevinter for the better. Everyone would recognize the common sense benefits of our approach, and we'd all live happily ever after.
It is difficult to articulate how painfully awful the writing and storytelling are in this game. Combat feels like an action game on mobile. There is precious little left of Dragon Age here.
I don't know what to say.
The game feels shallow, almost like I'm stuck in a group therapy session instead of truly engaging with the story or characters.
Yeah, I'm familiar with the type.
So far the dialogue is horrible. Pointless and unrealistic talking points and the dialogue options doesn't seem to matter. Combat is simple and a little boring. Hopefully it feels better when the skill tree open up. I will update my review later.
Yeah? Well, let me tell you.
There are 3 decisions. Yes. Yes. Joke. Yes. Firm. Maker's breath. Where's the roleplay in my RPG? This is not Dragon Age.
Yeah.
They need to hire better writers.
Whatever they're planning, it's bad.
This is not a Dragon Age game. They have removed all of the strategy, the joy of finding new loot, and worst of all, the Veilguard themselves are the most boring companions I have ever seen from a BioWare game.
Harsh, but fair.
Dumbed down systems compared to old games. Instanced missions and not open world in the slightest. Simpler combat and party system. Cringe-worthy NPC dialogue. Not for everyone, some people will like it but it's not like DAO, which is still a better game despite its age.
My ma likes to say that sometimes the pie is for eating, and sometimes it's for crying into.
This game has no soul, barely anything tying it to the legacy of other games. It fixes the tedium of 3, but that is the only positive addition. BioWare has killed Dragon Age. I'll finish the game because I spent $60 for it, but I'm doing more so out of obligation.
I'll never understand that custom.
Ignoring the politics around it, the gameplay is fun but the story and dialogue is trash, and everyone looks like they applied Botox on themselves.
Right. Okay. It's just, you know.
I bought this game because it was a Dragon Age game and this is a bad Dragon Age game. I have never said this before and I hope I never say it again. This game was clearly led by a marketing department and not game developers. The characters are staggeringly cliché. All character development, moral grey areas, and meaningful writing is nowhere to be found. This game is the unseasoned boiled chicken of the gaming world.
They're only as good as their people, don't you think?
Game for ill 12-year-olds.
Misery loves company.
I cannot get over how bad the story and characters are. The gameplay, art, and everything else seems actually really good. But the dialogue is so unbearably awful I had to refund. This is not like Dragon Age of old.
The strange new Darkspawn have spread fear and corruption greater than any blight in history.
The story is just bad. You have no freedom to be bad or good. They pick it all for you, a waste of money. It's just sad. I was looking forward to playing this.
Spoken like a god.
It's so bad I'm streaming it.
And all I wanted was for the rest of the world to suffer too.
Visuals are good, story is boring, combat is boring, UI is dreadful, zero character development, no meaningful decisions to be made, can't build meaningful relationships with your companions, world feels dead and empty with NPCs standing around everywhere doing literally nothing. Overall just a bad game, swindled me out of $60.
I'll not allow more victims like this.
If you're anti-woke, anti-diversity, anti-accessibility, this review is not for you. As a Dragon Age fan from the beginning, a lover of Origins, DA2, and Inquisition, I cannot recommend this game. I have been a BioWare apologist for many years. I said to myself that I would enjoy DA4, because, even if the gameplay was terrible, at least the story would be good. Well, I've learned my lesson. If you care about the lore as much as I do, then you will be extremely disappointed in this game. It is absolutely not worth a purchase, unless you're alright with throwing away everything you did in the 3 games prior. I will never, ever be giving BioWare my money ever again.
The Veil is a wound inflicted upon this world.
Probably the worst BioWare game in terms of writing and the dialogue.
You need to listen.
It's okay game, but it's not Dragon Age. Definitely wasn't worth all those years of waiting. Edit. Writing is just abysmal. It's mind-boggling how a person that wrote some of the best Dragon Age and Mass Effect characters could stoop so low as a writing director. My favorite fantasy world got sanded down to the point that it lost all of its charm. Everything that could have been even remotely controversial got retconned or swept under the rug. Most of the time I play the game I get mad or just sad.
First impressions are bad, to say the least. It's a clear reminder that game studios aren't just names. They're people. And the people have long since left. The dialogue so far has been nothing but surface-level childish drivel, and the art style is extremely cartoony and just straight up goofy. RIP BioWare.